I think for most people, One UI 8 was a little bit of a disappointment. I think the Samsung was in a pretty big rush to get that update out the door. And because of that, there just wasn't a whole lot going on there. We did get a pretty big refresh to Samsung DeX. We did get some enhanced multitasking features. I think the 90-10 split was introduced with One UI 8, some smoother animations. All that stuff's great, but yeah, like I said, not like anything huge, landmark, game changing. But boy, oh boy, have the leaks for One UI 8.5, which should be coming relatively soon, been looking very, very different. I've thrown together a post over here on shanecraig.tech where I go over some of these big leaks. And as I go through this, I'm going to try to tell you where this information came from. I'm going to try to cite each individual source because there are several. The first one we're going to look at is going to be with the quick settings. And this one is coming from a Twitter user, Reckless1. I'm going to put a link to this article in the description, and it'll have every source in it, so it's not just a really, really long list of sources. This is a series of images that they tweeted that I have basically put together, and there's a lot of really interesting things going on here. Let me jump over to this view so that I can zoom in, and what we're looking at here is a quick settings that can be customized in a much more extensive way. If we kind of pay attention to these details, it looks like you can remove pretty much every single category of these icons. If you want to get rid of your Bluetooth icon, you can get rid of it. If you want to resize these icons, you can do that as well. Look at this internet toggle right here. By the way, the icon is definitely different as well. Here it's large, there it is small. So you can shrink it, you can expand it, or you can remove it. Notice that these sliders, the little handle is on this corner, and that's because you can rotate them, as you can actually see implemented there. We do have our little folder for quick setting toggles, but it looks like some of these individual icons inside the folder have been pulled out of that folder. As you can see, the screenshot button and the screen recording button, I think those are typically in that folder. So maybe you can pull them out and then you can expand them or contract them at that point. But at any rate, lots of customization. This reminds me a bit of Material 3 Expressive, but taken to an entirely different level. Editor Shane from the future stepping in here. This video was done, but more things have popped up in the interim. So before I upload, I'm going to add in a couple more things. We're going to see more from this Twitter user, I think, later on in the video. And this is the quick settings panel customization being seen in real time. You can see here in just a second here, I think that they're going to go into the edit mode, and then that's pretty cool. So resizing the sort of now playing thing, that is really cool. You can actually make that smaller or larger. Wow, that's a lot of customization. You can expand, contract, move around these sliders. It looked like there for a second that he was actually making the slider. Oh, when he brought it down, it rotated for a second. So you can kind of see from this video what I've been talking about, how this is actually going to function. So hopefully seeing in action makes it stick a little bit better. Next up, you have the phone app, and the credit, as you can see here, is at thatjoshguy69 on Twitter. These are some subtle, smaller changes. The first thing that I notice is this little floating pill down at the bottom of the screen, the bottom of that application. And this is something that we're seeing in Material 3 Expressive as well, more sort of floating pills at the bottom. If you go to material.io, their blog, where they show some of their guidelines for Material 3 Expressive, you can see exactly what I'm talking about with all of these little floating pills and things like that. Kind of what we got going on here, although I do have to admit, it does have a little bit of a liquid glass thing going on. I can't tell if there's really transparency there or not because it's just on a black background. That's going to be interesting to see, but you can kind of tell just by looking at it. There might be a little bit of some liquid glass going on there, but I really hope that they don't ape too much of that because I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of thing. But just so that you can see the kind of side-by-side, that is a fairly big difference, right? These menu items are now in that little floating pill, and the call icon has changed as well. This one is coming from sammyguru.com, and this is the My Files application. Lots of changes here. These icons up here at the top are different. Internal storage is kind of broken out into its own little category. And I think that this is like a progress bar that shows how much of your storage is being used. Once again, we do have this little floating pill down here. Let's zoom in on that. Are we seeing some transparency here? We are seeing some transparency here, but it looks kind of strange to me. That's where you can see like the shadow, so that's kind of the edge of it, and you can see some of OneDrive still underneath, but not all of OneDrive. So is it only transparent like on the edge? This looks very strange right there to me. I can't really make out what exactly I'm looking at. If you go into internal storage, you can see that they've changed this very slightly. The folder icons are now yellow instead. We also have this leak here on Twitter. I'm not going to disrespect your name by trying to say it, but I will have a link to your account in the description down below. One UI 8.5 might be adding a new AI feature, notification intelligence summarizing. So basically what will be happening here is it'll show a brief summary for notifications about messages, chats, and emails. So we've heard rumors that Google is going to be using AI to categorize and group your notifications. But this sounds a bit more like what Apple's been doing, where you get a long notification and it summarizes it for you. So you get a brief summary that tells you this is a text message from your wife and she's asking what you want for dinner or something like that, rather than reading a long text message. I am excited to see something like this. I just hope it's executed well. We've all heard the problems with Apple's execution where slang and things like that got a little bit weird, but maybe they'll be able to do better. It will also group summarized notifications based on priority. So just helping you kind of go through your notifications a bit more quickly and easily. From Android Authority, One UI 8.5 is getting ready to borrow a fan favorite Pixel feature. It's automatic call screening. There's not much here in terms of imagery, but what they have found sort of buried in the firmware are references to proper call screening. Auto answer to scam calls only. Let an AI assistant answer calls and ask the caller who they are and why they are calling. I love call screening on my Pixel phones. So if indeed they are about to steal that feature, that is absolutely fantastic. Cannot wait for that. Another set of images from Sammy Guru looking at modes and routines. This page looks pretty much the same. You've got the little floating pill down there at the bottom, but this screen here, activities, ask Bixby, ask Gemini. This seems to imply that you can have Bixby or Gemini be triggered inside a mode or routine. So let me think of a good example for how this would actually work. Maybe you could set it so that when you go into relax mode, it's going to ping Gemini to automatically summarize the latest news and headlines for you, although maybe that wouldn't be. Maybe that would be for a mode called Be Stressed Out, a stress mode or something like that. Or maybe when you use the work mode routine, it's going to ask Gemini to summarize your recent most important emails or something like that. You guys are smart. You can think of a million different ways where you can have a thing that triggers Gemini or Bixby to do a thing. And this really just further strengthens this modes and routines feature that I've already really grown to like. Editor Shane back here once again with a couple of more things from this same Twitter user. We'll just pin these to the end of the video. We're looking at the lock screen here, and what you can see is the notifications having this sort of frosted glass look. You can see on my lock screen here how it currently looks, so this is a change as well. Even on light mode, you can still see some differences between what we currently have and what they're showing in this leak. From that Josh guy, we have a look at a change to the back animation, and that's actually a pretty big difference. You can see here, I've got the same screen pulled up, and it more just sort of slides across the screen rather than what you're seeing here. That's a pretty big difference. And then latest 8.5 build, bye-bye battery pill. I know there's been a lot of complaint about the way the battery icon looks in One UI, some readability issues and things like that, but it looks like there's maybe a setting that's going to be there to toggle the battery background, and maybe that'll make things more readable for some people. I'm not entirely sure, but it is at least another change. And of course, guys, these are just the leaks. I'm sure there's going to be even more than just this. And I think all of this does point towards One UI 8.5 being a fairly substantial update with quite a few visual changes that do sort of skirt that line between Material 3 expressive and also maybe a little bit of Apple type things going on there as well. Hopefully, we lean more towards Material 3 than towards iOS. But guys, yeah, pretty exciting stuff as far as I'm concerned. Call screening, the quick settings, I think looks very good. Gemini inside modes and routines, I think looks really cool. Notification, I'm just listing everything again because all of it looks pretty cool to me. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.